Hello, everyone. I'm Cynthia J, president of Shabbat Ministries Incorporated. Thank you for joining us for our ongoing SMI Career Connections webinar series. Today's event is another installment in our series focused on employment, entrepreneurism, and resources that support your success. Prayerfully, ongoing success. Our focus for this session is entrepreneurship, launching your business from the idea to action. I'm excited to welcome a dynamic innovator, someone who will guide us through an important conversation on entrepreneurship. As we are in the middle of celebrating Black History Month, actually, we're at the end of celebrating Black History Month. It is an opportune time to focus on entrepreneurship, giving voice to the current trailblazers. And I'm pleased to introduce to you our panelist today, Dr. Rachel Bonaparte. Dr. Rachel is a seasoned higher education leader for more than a decade, and she also is the vice president of teaching, learning, and student success at Prince George's Community College. She's also a founder of The Blacklining, which we'll hear some more about as we go through our conversation today. And she's also my friend of many, many years. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Rachel Bonaparte.
Thank you
Hi.
so much. Thank you so much. You gave such a fabulous introduction. I almost clapped for myself. So, thank you. Like, who's that lady? Thank you. It's great to be here. It's a pleasure to be here. Being able to speak about just the areas that I love doing and being able to speak with someone who I also love is makes it even easier.
Thank you, because we've known each other for a long time through another mutual friend that we have. But every time I have called you, whether it was in crisis or not, you're always so gracious. You're always so open. And sometimes people believe that information is something that they keep close to the vest because it makes them who they are and they don't like to share. The wonderful thing about you is that no matter what the information is, it's for the people. It's for all
Listen,
of us.
and I get that, but you know what though? It makes it even easier when you're working with someone who also is someone who is gracious enough to share. And so I don't even if you know if you remember when we were working together also with the education, I was in education ministry, and it was the
Hmm.
first year that we decided to do the Black History Month service. And I was
Right.
pulling folks together, trying to pull teeth. And Reverend Terry was one that said, "Hey, I will be there. I will work with you to try to see how we can continue to help our community and so forth with the service during Black History Month." So I also thank you.
Praise
Oh, actually, it was
God.
MLK Day. That's what it was, the MLK Day of
MLK
Service.
Day.
Mm,
Yes, yes. Day of service. And it's still going on, your
yes,
legacy. Still going
yes.
on. We had a great time at MLK Day last month, and a
Hmm.
lot of people were engaged. And of course, as always, we love working with and in the community. So,
Absolutely.
blacklining. I had never even heard the phrase before, the word before. You introduced it. So I know that you have, you're just brilliant in all the things, all the areas I've ever worked with you in. And as I said before, you don't keep everything just for yourself, you try to share. So I know that you'll be able to give us some insights and tools and some, just fresh ways that we can not get stuck because I'm an entrepreneur and I feel as though I get stuck because sometimes those doors that they claim are open are not open with the knob on my side. The knob, I think, is on the other side. So
Correct.
we have a challenge getting through those doors. So let's start our conversation with what is blacklining?
So I think this was a great segue in that from the MLK Day to this, because this really just speaks to what the Black Lining is and just at the heart of who I am, of wanting to make sure that it is something that I'm giving back to the community, that I'm able to be of service. And so when similar to the MLK Day, where's the need? What is going on that is needed at this moment? And that's where the Black Lining came about, is a few years ago where We were looking, and there was the death of Freddie Gray and Breonna Taylor, and every time you looked, there was another march, another protest. And then there was, hey, how do we support Black-owned businesses and so forth? And at that time, it really was just a little bit chaotic, if you may, where you couldn't find
Mm.
all the information in one place. And as much as you want to support and you want to make sure that your voice is also being heard, you just didn't know where to go. And you're hoping that you're getting that information in real time and in time so that you can also participate. And I just remember saying, oh, you know what? We'll do better the next time. We'll be ready for the next time. Not hoping that there's a next time, but whatever, if there is a next time, we'll be ready. It'll be a little bit
Right.
more streamlined, and people are also recognizing that they're also having a similar issue that I was having. And then unfortunately there was a next time. And here we
Mm.
are again, where
Mm.
folks are trying to make sure that we are also being mindful of centering Black voices and how do we do that? How do we support? And we've done a little bit better now where we're able to have directories such as the Black Wall Street, official Black Wall Street, and some other ones that have now been able to just have a directory, if you may, for all the
Yeah.
Black-owned businesses. And really, what they're doing is selling products. And they sell the products kind of like an Amazon, and which is great because at least we have a starting point. The challenge for me
Mhm.
as an educator, as you mentioned so nicely, I'm also within at Prince George's Community College, and education is always going to be at the heart of what I'm doing. So even while I'm at
Right.
Prince George's right now as an associate vice president, I'm also still teaching at Montgomery College and staying in the classroom with the students. And one of the things that and it might you may recall this as well. One of the challenges is that you can have, at least in my case, you have the products, you're selling the products, but the educational piece is still missing. So why are we where
Mhm.
we are? Why is it that when we look at just the financial literacy, African Americans are
Mhm.
still lagging behind in in financial literacy. Why is, and part of it is, I know for myself, I didn't grow up learning about financial literacy and financial management
Right.
and all of that. So
Right.
even in my I should say, older age, I'm still learning how to manage money, how to, you know, trying to understand stocks, trying to understand all the whole nine, even when it comes to my taxes. So if
Right.
I'm in a position where I should know,
Mhm.
should
Mhm.
have a better idea, and I'm still trying to learn it as I'm going. It just tells me that there's a gap. And so my hope at this point was through the Blacklining was that we're going beyond just selling products to having
Mhm.
folks be able to come back with intention. So you're selling the products, but my at the Blacklining, we're looking at really promoting the business, providing that visibility, providing
Yeah.
the support and the resources, kind of like the one-stop shop. So that way, if there is a march, if there is some financial literacy that you're looking for, if there is the visibility that you're looking for, you can get it in the one-stop shop type of place. And so the Black Lining now looks at um, you can add your business. And so we're really highlighting the business on there, but the businesses can now also talk about what's your story? And that's the part that ends up missing sometimes is we just see the business, but we don't know this, right? We don't know how it
Mhm.
started, why it started. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's the and oftentimes I would say not even sometimes oftentimes it's the story behind the business that actually gets people to buy into it. And so what was the passion behind it? So folks are able to sign up, put their story along with the business. And so
Well,
that's not just a name.
let me go back.
Hmm.
Sign up where? Let's let the people know where they're going to sign up, and then once they sign up, once they open that up, walk
Yeah,
us through what they will see, and then move on from there.
sure thing. So if you go
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
www.theblacklining.com, and so
Hmm.
theblacklining.com, the
Okay.
first thing that you're going to see is a big old picture of my face, unfortunately. That was against my will, I'll tell you, but it's there
Uh-huh.
and it shows you, and so you'll know you're in the right place. Let's just say that.
Okay.
But what
Okay.
it does is it allows you to now, you can sign, once you sign up, you can now add your business. And if you don't have a
Okay.
business, you can sign up as a community member that's just in there to still interact and be able to use the site. As a business owner, you go ahead and you put your name, you put your business, the contact information, and then the story. And then
Hmm.
you have the opportunity to also be able to explore the site, similar to the community members. On the site, members are able to add events. So if you have, as a business owner, there's a pop-up event that you would like to promote about your own business. You can put the pop-up
Wow.
event in there yourself. One thing that we just literally added probably as of last week is a Reels section. So we know what kind we're in the digital age. Not everybody wants to just see the static flyer. Some people actually want to just watch the reel and see someone promote it for them, or even you promote your own reel. And it could be that you're doing kind of like the promotional reel that you would see on IG or Facebook or something of that sort. And so there's those two ways to provide
Okay.
those visibility for your
Let
pop-up
me pause
events.
you. Let me pause you one more time.
Oh, please,
Okay.
you're going to pause me a few times. Go for it.
So as we are opening it up and a person is putting in information, what if they don't have it? What if it's not at a level that, you're putting in your business? You might have your business bio or whatever that is, and you can tell that it may need some help, it may need some work
Mhm.
before you want to expose it. And then especially when you get to a point of putting in an event,
Mhm.
there's no responsibility on Blacklining about that event.
Yeah.
So how can people make sure that it is a good way to showcase who they are and
Mhm.
not use what they've been using for years that has not been effective? Did that
What
make sense?
I love that question because I actually received someone was wanting to partner and they're out of the country, but they're going to be in the country and they were wanting to partner. And what was nice about it was that they were able to, after visiting the site, they said, hey, we realized that this site is more so for the everyday business owner. So it's not those, it's for everybody, of course, but it's not the
Mhm.
businesses like that normally would come to mind, like the big top black owned businesses and so forth. Like this is for the everyday local business owner. And what that means is some businesses don't have websites yet. So they have not been
Mhm.
able to they haven't had the resources for a number of reasons. They may not have the resources or
Right.
whatnot to build out a whole website. And so
Okay.
in order to still, for better lack of words, legitimize the site where you still want to be able to promote businesses, but you don't want people doing the random types of business. You want folks who are serious about the business. And so part of
Hmm.
that is we ask folks to have, for example, um, a LinkedIn account. So that way, that
Okay.
helps to legitimize it because we can now at least go back through the LinkedIn version and see there. And then there are some folks who have they have a great following on Instagram. And so,
Okay.
especially when you think about event planners, they may not have a website
Right.
yet, but they have IG. And so that the IG is the
Right.
one, if
Right.
you go to the IG account, you're seeing, the
Okay.
10,000 plus viewers on there or
Right.
connections on
Right.
there. So those are the
Hmm.
things that we do to kind of circumvent this idea of, hey, you know what, I'm still building because essentially we all should
Hmm.
still be building anyway. And so that
Yeah.
I hope answers the question.
That's good. That's good. So now go back to this person that contacted you, that they feel that was too elemental for them or what?
No, that was exactly why they contacted because they put it in the
Ah,
email saying that it seems like your site does is more for like the local everyday business.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
that's the reason, and that was where their market niche is. So in Ethiopia, they were able to expand their market by doing it that way, by being able to connect to the everyday individual. And so they were trying to see how to do that in the States. And when they found the site, they said, "Hey, this looks like what we're looking for, where
Yeah.
it's almost grassroots, but it's connected to the community, more so connected to
Okay.
community." Hmm.
Okay. That sounds great. I know that a lot of people they may have left a job that they had been in for 30 years, but they have this entrepreneurial heart. So they want to get started. They may have been doing things over the years, so
Hmm.
they wouldn't be intimidated by starting there. But
Correct. And you'll be
mhm.
surprised though. You will be
Okay,
surprised because
okay,
what I have found, especially with all the things that have been happening politically wise and folks are looking for a new job or even
Right.
people who have always had a side business. And I was saying to them, I said, hey, you know what? Can I feature you? Can I add you as a feature on the site? And the response has been, oh, I'm not ready yet. It's not done yet. It's not. And I'm like, that's what the point of the site is.
Good.
But in our minds, it is my business needs to be, completely finished and completely, at high function capacity and so forth, in order for me to even start slightly promoting it. And
Hmm.
what I'm saying is, um, you can do both. You can still
Yeah.
feature it and you can still do the work, especially if you know you're the type that's going to do the work anyway for your business. Why can't you do both?
Right.
Because at the end
Right.
of the day, you still see Microsoft, you still see Amazon. They're still growing and they're still reinventing themselves. And so you're never, and my belief is a real entrepreneur is never really finished. Like there's
Yeah.
always, if you're
Yeah.
creating, you're always in
Hmm.
a creation mode. That's you have to stay with the trends. You got to stay ahead of the trend. So there's always going to be more that you need to do. And so when you limit yourself to, I
Hmm.
need all of these things before I can actually start promoting,
Right. Right. So people
you're
need
leaving
to
the
hear
room.
that message, and I'll tell you why. Because with the business that I have, and I wanted to do the the things like the community colleges. A
Hmm.
person told me that you need to have more people under you first, and because what if you go to the first one and you do really well, and then all of a sudden you get 10? Are you going to be ready? What would you say if someone said that to an
So in that
entrepreneur?
case, listen, if the Lord has provided me with 10, then He's gonna provide me
Ooh.
with 10 more people to now help me with those 10 schools. He's not gonna just let me have to deal with that. And I know that's, in some minds it's super spiritual, but that is the walk. I feel like oftentimes the entrepreneurship walk, at least for me, has been a faith walk. And
Wow.
and and until you get to that level to that place where you're saying, hey, you know what?
Mhm.
I can only rely on God because I know that this was a God-given, purpose, God-given gift, and journey.
That's
And
it.
that
You're
and that's
saying
not even
don't
just
be
in
dissuaged
entrepreneurship.
because of someone else saying that you're not ready. Just don't,
No, and
yeah,
here's the
keep
thing.
moving forward.
It goes beyond entrepreneurship because I wouldn't be where I am had I listened to folks, even in my own professional life. Like folks
Hmm.
telling me, hey, well, why would you go for a doctorate? You just got done with your master's. You don't even need a master's for the area that you're in. And I didn't have all the language at the time. I didn't have all the language. I didn't have all the wherewithal or the knowledge to know, like, hey, you know what? I'm not even one that looks for status in that regards, but for whatever reason, I still need to, it's my spirit, man, is telling me I need to go get this master's. My spirit is telling me I need to go get this doctorate. Had I stopped, I wouldn't have been able to be qualified for the jobs I'm taking now. And so, not that I was even seeking to be a vice president. I've never wanted to. I didn't even think I was going to be in higher ed. So I say all that to say, it's nice to get feedback from folks of like things to think about, things to consider. But at the end of the
Right.
day, if you were able to do it with one school, the great thing is
Hmm.
that you'll be able to replicate it easier for 10
Move
more
forward.
schools because you've
Yeah.
already done it with one.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to know what the pitfalls were and all of that. And as you're walking through the first time, you'll be able to know, hey,
Hmm.
man, as I'm walking, I realize I might need help on this other area. So you'll already start planning as you're going through the first time. It's not like you go through it the first time all and then you wait till the very, very end to do a reflection. In any of these journeys, you're still reflecting as you're going, just naturally,
Yeah.
of like, well,
That's
that wasn't a
good.
good lesson. Like, maybe I need to change that up
Ah,
on next time, right? So, like, you don't wait till the
absolutely.
very end to say, week one, that lesson wasn't working. So, I think at the end of the day, it's the ability to pivot, it's ability to do those reflections as you're going that will help you to prepare for the next time. So, and the biggest thing is making sure you stay present in that moment
Yeah.
because if you start when you start looking too far ahead that's when the nerves come in. That's when you say, oh, this isn't working. And Lord knows I'm speaking even to myself right now. That's when you start thinking about, well, where's the resources going to come? I know I need to do this, this, and this. And the main thing is trying to stay present and saying, what am I doing? What can I do today? What can I do right now?
Yeah, yeah. And resources are available as well, aren't they? Are there still resources available? I've heard from some people from the Department of Labor that said that at first they thought they weren't going to have any resources at all, but they still have some resources.
So they do still have the resources. And it's such an interesting climate because it's like up and down. Like one minute there will and there are 100% resources. Now, where the resources going is a different question because as you know, for the Blacklining, it is the goal is that we are centering Black voices. It's
Mhm,
open to everybody because I think we all
mhm.
can learn about financial literacy and empowerment and be able to support Black owned businesses. And so it's definitely open for everybody. And when I say Black, I mean all across the diaspora and so forth. But at the same time, when you're looking for the funding, people have kind of shied away from anything that looks remotely close to DEI. So that has been part of where the challenge comes from. But what we ended up doing now is just looking more so at the grants, like further grants. And you'll what's been interesting is so I'm spreading my wings and I'm being a little bit more open to how to get this information. And I actually started using Fiverr. So I didn't know about Fiverr. Brandon, my partner, was actually the one that told me about Fiverr. And I said, now, wait a minute, what is this? And so Fiverr has contractors on there for all these different businesses and different areas. And I was able to hire somebody that just looks for grants. And the areas that this lady has been able to find grants has been, I would have never looked for myself, partly because I would have canceled myself out saying, oh, I don't even think I qualify over there. But then there's other ones that
Wow.
I didn't know about. So, for example, I became a finalist for the Dell Foundation. Didn't know that they would be open
Wow.
to giving the grant, and still in the running. So I became one of the top four for about a $60,000 grant. So it's stuff like that where they have grants out there. I don't know about the Department of Labor and how where they're dispersing it to that extent, but I do know that the grants are there. You find that if you're able to find individuals to help write the grants, because time is, scarce, and so
That's right. That's right.
there's ways to get it as long as you're open to being
Yeah.
being able to look for a grant in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people also are looking at people that have come from our communities that have really succeeded. And when people think about that, they think about movie stars or basketball players, but there are also other people who were entrepreneurs who are doing a lot of great things, and they also want to help people that are in the community as
Yep.
well. And so hopefully people will not just look at the large area and look at some small grants because I know for Shabak, if you can't find $100,000 grant,
Hmm.
maybe you find five $20,000
Yep. Yep.
grants. And I think that, we need to stay focused on there's something out there for everybody. There are
There's
a
so
lot
many
of great
grants out
grants still
there.
out
There's so
there.
many. And even
Mhm.
one of them, I can't remember the name of it. I think it was like Jeremiah, a Jeremiah grant. And they just gave out one for $2,500. So to your point, you can find
Mhm.
it just depends on what you need, right?
Right.
Depending on your business, you may not need a 60 grand type of grant. You might just need, listen, I just need 2,000. And I can do that with getting getting $500 grants from everywhere. So there's ways to do it, and there's websites I know that, and of course now I'm putting my own self on the spot, but there's sites that have just grants by itself that you can look up, even small grants and larger grants as well.
So, outside of grants, is there another way to fund your business if you need just a little extra?
Yeah, so the other piece has been wanting to make sure that we're partnering, we're really looking into being intentional with the partners. So, for example, one of the partners that we are working with now is Industrial Bank. And so a black owned
Oh,
bank, and being able to work with them to see what kind of resource, what does the partnership look like? And two,
yeah.
what can the resources financially wise look like? And so at different stages, the resources could look financial in the sense of, to that end, can they help with a small business loan? Um, it might also look like just a gift in that regards. And then the biggest thing for me right now that has been helpful from the bank side has been them being able to host workshops. And so financial literacy workshops, that has been the biggest thing for me right now. But I would definitely say like the partnerships are the ones that also help with um, the financial aspect. And so being intentional, looking at whatever your field is, and saying to yourself, okay, so who can I partner with? And one of the so I'll add this in there because they were the one thing that Industrial Bank told me is that every time they find someone saying that they want to be a partner, is because they already know they want money. And so being able to
Hmm.
say, hey, I know that I want we know at the end of the day we want money. We need money in order for the business to go. But what are some other ways that the
Right.
partnership can look like, especially in the beginning, until that relationship has been built to then be able to ask for the money, and not
Hmm.
being um, you're not it's not even being sneaky at that point. It's really because even the conversation I had with Industrial, it was, hey, at the end of the day, everybody needs money. But my main focus right now is about this one, building the relationship, and two, can we do the workshops? Eventually, at this next stage, I'm going to need money, and I would hope that we can have that conversation. So it's being direct, it's being honest, but it's also being open to what else the partnership can offer.
Okay. Partnerships are really important, like you said, and the least likely company sometimes has the most to offer, and people just don't think about asking. So, you can
Right.
find some people that will do various things, like give space. There are people that have space to offer if you need space, and they have furniture to give you if you need furniture for your office. All
Right.
kinds of things are
Right.
available in the community, and all of that is not money being given to you, but it's saving you money,
I was about
especially
to
if
say
you're a
it's
small
money you
business
don't have to
just getting started.
spend, which is also helpful.
That is it. That is
Super
it.
helpful with that.
So why was this so heavy on your heart to do this? What's you said a
So,
little bit in the beginning, but
yeah.
this is passion I hear now.
Yeah, I the passion you hear behind it is one because just historically wise, when we think about and you spoke to, well, I've never heard the blacklining, right? And so
Mhm.
it was in my mind, I said, oh, it's a spinoff of redlining. So redlining where it was used to separate and discriminate, especially when it comes to the housing aspect. And blacklining is really, in itself, was a way to reclaim freedom, if you may, reclaiming freedom in general. And so part of it was wanting to bridge that gap between the visibility for businesses so we don't have to go looking around of how do we support businesses. They're right here, and we're not just
Mhm.
supporting them through their products, but we're supporting them, and we're centering Black voices at this point, which is something
Right.
that I know is hard for folks to. It's controversial, right? And we're so used to how we everything that we do is normally centered around whiteness, and so being able to be bold enough to say, "Hey, no, it's okay. We can send all of us can be celebrated," and so
Yeah. Yeah.
centering
Yeah.
these voices to say it is okay to support Black-owned businesses. We don't have to shy away from that. So that was one. And then the biggest thing for me is also the educational part, like I mentioned, of being able to understand the historical context. How did we
Yeah.
get here? Like, why is it that financially wise, we are still that we are still lagging behind in literacy? And part of it is access. If you're looking at how from the Jim Crow laws to redlining to slavery or in employment discrimination, all of these things would have played a role into um, systemic, systemically
Yeah.
blocking. how we access wealth, how we understand wealth. And if
Mhm.
you are not, if you're not even able to participate, right? Like you don't even know, you don't know much about the financial aspect. And so between that or being just like I said, exclusion from the mainstream financial institutions where the banks were denying they were denying and discriminating against lending. And so those are the things that I hope that the Blacklining is able to do eventually is get us to a place where once you know, you can, I really believe once you know better, you can do better
Okay.
in that regards. And so there's those aspects of it. And then the biggest thing is ultimately is that my
Mhm.
hope is that the Blacklining is now able to um, is not just it's a networking safe space because now folks can actually connect directly to CPAs, lawyers, advisors, and so forth. But we're
Mhm.
leading. My hope is that we
Mhm.
start leading in this area. So meaning we know that we're going into a digital age. Everything is
Mhm.
AI. And so how do we get to the spot in the place where we are not consistently trying to keep up and trying to, keep up based on our past, keep up based on the realities of things. How do we start leading? And part of that leading is understanding that this AI is a new space. And
Right.
so being able to ideal in my hope, my prayers, and y'all be the first to know because this is something I started adding into a grant, was looking at how do we if ideally the blacklining would then be able to use AI to help do audits for these businesses that are
Mhm.
on the site, to do audits to
Mhm.
see where can AI be further integrated into these businesses. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
by using that initial step with an AI to be able to do that would be helpful. Then also being able to use AI in the sense that, of course, getting people trained on what the basics for AI are,
Mhm.
sure. But the biggest part for me as well is that right now, the way that folks are using AI is just through ChatGPT or Copilot or something very generic. But what
Mhm.
those uh, programs or sources do, they're generic and they're not culturally responsive, meaning
Mhm.
that my hope is
Mhm.
that through the blacklining, the AI, the chatbots, or whatever is going to be able to now have a cultural responsive perspective for those businesses that are utilizing them. So, as you may already know, when it comes to finance, we talked about finances and so forth. Venture
Mhm.
capitalists, it's probably, I think it's about less than 2%, if that, it might be one, actually give money to
Yeah.
Black-owned businesses, right? And
Mhm.
so, um, what the AI or chatbot would do is when people are saying, "Hey, I need to find a grant. Hey, I need to, find a venture capitalist." It's not going to give you all the venture capitalists that you don't even qualify for, that
Right.
we know we're not
Right.
going to get money from. It's going to give you the
Right.
specific
Right.
ones that have been known to give you the money. And so
Right.
that's the next step that we're trying to get into is what can how can we lead in that area? And part of the leading for me is
Mhm.
being able to advance within AI in the digital space.
This is a lot of information,
I
but it's
know.
great. It is such great. It's so great. I'm glad. I'm so glad. I hope people would definitely get involved. But I have three. What do you call them? They're three questions that they're not comfortable.
Okay.
They're not comfortable
We love
questions. Okay.
uncomfortable.
The first question is some people of our, African Americans or of that descent don't trust the people who are African American to be good business owners. They don't trust. And you can say it's the older people if you want to, but I've seen people of all generations that would, if they waited and they had this one on this side and that one on that side, they would go over there. That's the first thing. The
Mhm.
second thing is, let's say you start making a lot of money. They don't manage the money well. They will have a lot of things that decrease in equity rather than increase. So if
Mhm.
something happens, they're sort of out of it. And so do we help people manage money or even think about money in a different way?
Hmm.
That's another part of it. And then the third part of it is for our generation that is coming up. Do they think entrepreneurial? Are they thinking of owning their own business?
Hmm.
Because as I say, when I'm talking to young people about their strengths, if
Hmm.
you are doing what you were created to do, you wouldn't chase after money. The money would be following you if you're doing what you're created to do. But we have people who chase after money. And I'm not talking about other people's children, I'm talking about my oldest boy. I'm going to go ahead and say he had three
Don't put
jobs
them
at
on
one
blast.
time. He had three jobs. He's never going to, he had three jobs at one time because he's chasing after money.
Yeah.
And all three of them sort of went dry. You know what I mean?
Right.
All of that sort
Right.
of is one thing, but it's just three parts of it. But it's really, how do you speak
So
to?
let me start with the latter part. It's interesting because I never saw myself as an entrepreneur either. And even to this day, I still struggle with saying, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Ooh, I don't want to be an entrepreneur.
Let's
Um,
think of another name. What's another name you want to call yourself? What you let's just say this is what black owned business.
multi-talented. But the point being, you're hitting on an important point because there are some who jump in and they are fully, well versed and ready in their minds, in their spirit, in their will. They said, "Hey, I'm just gonna go for it." And see, for me, I always wanted stability, so I'll go for it as long as there's something stable on the side.
Mhm,
And so, but that has to do with my own past. And so I think that there's beauty in both. There's beauty in both. The willing heart to just jump full in it's a gift. I think that's a gift in itself because they have the will, they have the passion to do so. Um, but I also understand at the end of the day that that's kind of fading in some areas. And part of the why for me is because of what you just mentioned, the lack of trust and the lack of
mhm,
support. And so the trust part, meaning folks don't trust Black-owned businesses,
mhm,
and then the support part, because you don't trust it, you don't support it. So it's twofold. Like the businesses are saying, well, what's the point? People don't support. The supporters are the customers are saying, well, we don't trust y'all. That's why. And uh, systemically, that's what we were taught,
yeah,
and that's the
mhm,
problem. We
mhm,
were already pitted against each other from the
mhm,
beginning. And so when where we are now is just, and this is the reason why I say blacklining, because we don't, when we get to the point of really understanding historically wise, that we understand, hey, we were never supposed to be on the same side anyway. They wanted us to not trust each other. And
mhm,
yes, there's going to be outliers. There's always outliers. People make the joke about that's why some folks get Harriet wouldn't have carried, taken everybody. Some people are going to get left behind. There's always outliers. But at the end of the day, I think that that's where the Black Lining is trying to help bridge that gap. One, through the educational part,
mhm,
but two, through making sure that
mhm,
there's a visibility part where we can start rebuilding that trust. So one part I did leave out was that on the site there's a kind of a social media aspect where people can now
mhm,
connect and they can talk about what's missing in their city or state, where they want to do collaboration, and have those real talk conversations that we're having right now of, hey, I don't trust X. And so that has been part of my conversation, even as I'm working and trying to find partnerships. That's part of my conversation is, hey, um, people do not want to, you, so interesting enough, one of this conversation actually happened when I was talking with some banks and looking into additional conversations with banks because we don't invest even in our own banks. I don't we have not trusted the banks, and one of the questions I had to sit with was, Rach, why don't you invest in a bank? Why don't you put your money in a bank, right? So if
wow,
I'm working on this project and I haven't even fully bought in, what is the reason? And so I was able to start having that kind of dialogue with even the banks as to, hey, you're not why might this be? How can we continue to move together so that way we can invest in ourselves. And so it's a lack of trust, but I think at the end of the day, it's historically placed on us that we're mistrusting of each other. And so my hope at the end of the day is that um, that as people continue to see the same way we see branding, you see branding over and over again, it makes you think, oh, they must be a good brand. The hope is that we're doing that even for our Black-owned businesses. Because when I tell you this journey has been the most inspiring, tiring, but inspiring journey because
Yeah.
I did not realize, and I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but I didn't realize how many, better lack of words, legitimate businesses, Black-owned businesses there are, where people are not just selling, they're not out here, and no, not to it, but we're not selling candles. Like folks are actually having real businesses. I'm talking about warehouses, for example, where people are saying, hey, right now, one of the challenges that we were saying was the reason why people did not want to buy Black was because of the delivery time. We've gotten used to now with Amazon with a 2-day turnaround, and then you have to purchase from a Black owned, and it's going to take you maybe 2 weeks. And so the conversation is, how do we, and this is my conversation, how do we partner to ensure that a business that connects with this warehouse can still get their stuff out? It might not be 2 days because we're not there yet. Um,
Yeah.
but how can they get it within a week?
Right.
And so those are the things that help to build the trust. Those are the things, and it helps to build the trust because of the time. It helps to build the trust because of the quality of the items that we're receiving. And so part of that is um, when we think about the quality on the site, people are going to be able to place the reviews as they do with Amazon. So all of
Mhm.
that it takes time, and we just not have not had the opportunity because we've always been behind to really build out that structure to then help with building the trust. And so there's all these it's a little convoluted, but there's all these different things that come into play for it.
Well, one major thing you said that once they get into the site, the Blacklining site, they'll be able to see other entrepreneurs that are there.
Mhm.
And if you do business with each other, that's also going to help you spread the word because I still
Correct.
think word of mouth is the best marketing tool. You
Yep.
know, if you tell me where you got that beautiful top from, that's
Right.
better than me seeing it in an ad. But
Right.
we have to know each other first, know what we're doing so that we can support each other better. And then
Right.
we can help maybe crack that, you know, that stigmatism, I guess we would call it.
Right.
That
And that's
that,
it. You
that
hit it right there. It's the event planner meeting the caterer and saying, hey, you know what? We should
yes,
be partnering together to work anyway. So, and we're in
yeah.
you're same city or different city, different state, and how can we work together to, grow our business? And that really is a conversation that helps to build trust, that helps to expand the connections, expand businesses and so forth. And so I guess in my mind, it just all of it takes time. It's almost like even when I think about change management at work, you get a new boss, you get a new president or vice president or whomever, and it just takes a little time for folks to start rebuilding that trust again, to then for the buy-in. So it's the same thing here, even when I think about just how do we rebuild trust within our community?
Right, right. Well, I'm going to put my business in because I want legacy. I really would like in the good old days when someone had a business and those children that naturally could work
Hmm.
with the business did, and those who couldn't didn't. But
Right,
it's so nice to have legacy that you
right.
could hand something down. And even my problem child, I believe would do very well in the business. I really do. I really, really
Mhm.
do. And I think parents really should encourage their children to learn the business and see whether or not it is a great fit because who better to be in the business than people you know best and they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's safe, right? Like it's a little bit, it's
Yeah.
a safeguard where if I have someone
Mhm.
is a family member already in the business, it allows me to
Mhm.
explore a little bit more, allows me to be okay with making mistakes. Because sometimes
Mm,
you can't do that in the real world. So being able to do that in a family type of business is definitely helpful. And I think the biggest
right.
thing is also knowing that these businesses take money. So it takes
Mm-hmm.
money in order to make
Hmm.
the money. So
Right.
if a
Absolutely.
family member is already putting in the money, that's definitely helpful for me,
That's
right?
right. That's good. That is good. I
Takes a
know
little
we
bit of that
always
pressure
say
off.
that you're actually putting into your future if you're a family member. So,
And here's the beauty of it, and I'll add this to it. The beauty of even having additional like folks that you can help your kids to train up in within the business is also because they can help add to the picture from their generational perspective, from their
mhm,
gender perspective, just from their perspective in general. And so it's always nice to get the additional voices and perspectives,
right.
especially if it is, even if it is a family member.
It is, and your children are very, very point blank when they're telling you things. So, how can people, you said, connect through the website? Is that the best thing
Yep,
for
that is
people
the best
to
way
take
to
away?
yep,
All
is
right.
definitely looking, I mean, visiting the website. If
Mm-hmm.
for some reason you have any questions, there's a form, there's contact forms on there, so you can
Good.
contact us directly on there as well. And
Good.
so there's that would be the biggest way to connect with the Black Lining.
And it's www dot or just blacklining.com.
www.theblacklining.com. The
Blacklining.com.
Black Lining. Yep. Because if you go to
You're laughing, but
blacklining.com, it's
I'm
going to take
going
you to
in. I'm going all
another,
the way in.
look, they're going to put you on a different site.
Oh, really? If you don't have
Yes.
the THE in front of it?
Oh, yes. And
Oh
sometimes
my
it still takes you
goodness.
in there, but I think sometimes if you're not careful, it might take you to a different site. So
Oh
um, the
no.
site is fully operational for on my end. So if
Okay.
you go to a site that's not operational, that's not it. Yeah,
Right, right. And it's really, really sad because people will try to clone you. So
correct.
the
Correct.
THE blacklining.com.
Yes, yes, yes.
What last words? Do you have any last words you would like to say to everyone before we close down? We are really, really grateful that you took time out of your busy, busy schedule because you got a busy baby girl too, that you took
Yes.
time out of your schedule to share with us because this is information I don't know if people would have gotten it any other way, until the word really gets out. And then hopefully they will be part of the communications thread that will get the
Correct.
information out.
Correct.
Mhm.
And so I guess for me, the last thing I would say is that if you can see the entire picture for your business, you're probably dreaming too small. You're
Mhm.
probably dreaming a little too small. If you could see the entire picture, I think there's something to be said that it's either the dreaming small and you might be limiting yourself because we should always still be
Mhm.
growing in that dream and in that vision of where we're trying to go, and being able to
Mhm.
be flexible enough to be able to pivot when needed. And so that would be something
Mhm.
that I would say is something to be aware about. Um, and then also making sure that you surround yourself around folks who might actually be smarter than you. And that has been a huge help for me because someone who's not my background's communication, it's not finance. Did I say it's not finance? It's not finance. So having folks who that is their background and um, not having a huge ego, not being scared, or to have folks tell you, you're going in a totally different direction. That's not what we do in finance, or that's not what we need for financial literacy building or empowerment. And that has been
Mhm.
super helpful as well. So don't be scared to surround yourself with folks who are actually smarter than you.
As a matter of fact, we recommend that.
Yes.
You should surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. That's how we grow. So that's a great
Yes.
thing. My dad used to say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
You're in
So
the wrong room. You're in the wrong room. And I tell you, the day that I found out I was in the right room, I said, my Lord,
I
I have no
know, I
idea what y'all are talking
know.
about in here. I have no idea. But
That's right.
it's a great
That's right.
empowering place, a great empowering place. And
Good.
I do want to say this to you. Thank you for this opportunity to even have this type of conversation, this real conversation that folks do not tend to want to have, and they
Mhm,
shy away from it a little bit. And it's
mhm,
okay not to know. I'm still growing in mine. I am still open to the ideas. I'm still open to having to pivot when
mhm,
needed. And I tell you,
mhm,
it's a journey. It's a journey. And one of the best things is to make sure that you're enjoying the journey. I know we always want to get to the end and get and see what it's going to look like at the end, but I truly believe the end is not going to be as beautiful without enjoying the actual journey. So enjoy the journey.
and you should enjoy the journey, because we don't need anything else stressing us out these days. It is something,
Correct.
it's going there will be rich rewards at the end, but you have to
Yes.
go through those steps. So
Hmm.
thank you so much. I want to thank you for all of the insight that you have been able to share on entrepreneurship. And we hope the strategies and the other practical tips that you've shared are going to be used by the people that will be viewing our podcast. Thank you so much again for your time. I hope that people will go to the site and be more confident about how they can prepare to take next steps to do what God has called them to do in life.
Yes.
So
Yes. Me too. Me
thank
too.
everyone for joining us for this podcast on entrepreneurship with the wonderful Dr. Rachel Bonaparte. Have a great day on purpose. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.